The storm had long passed, but the sky still wept. Avelyn stood at the edge of the world where the last forest had once breathed. Now charred earth stretched endlessly before her, broken only by bones of trees and rusted skeletons of metal towers. Her boots pressed into ash as she stepped forward, the wind whispering tales of what had been lost. In her gloved hand, she clutched the journal, her sister's last trace, its cracked leather cover warped by rain and time. Inside were sketches of plants no longer living, pressed petals, and cryptic notes about a place called the Garden Beyond the Veil. A myth, a mercy, a promise. Most dismissed it as delusion, but Avelyn believed, because she had nothing else left. She followed the directions scrawled in her sister's looping handwriting, etched with growing desperation. A trail of forgotten coordinates, magnetic pulses and lunar alignments had brought her to this clearing, this cracked patch of earth where something shimmered faintly in the air, just for her. Like heat rising but colder. She stepped through. The world changed. She fell through light. For a moment she was suspended in stillness, wrapped in golden mist and silence deeper than any she'd known. Then, breath rushed back into her lungs. Her boots touched grass, real grass. The garden was alive. Towering trees arched overhead, their bark veined with glowing threads. Flowers bloomed in impossible colours. Vines pulsed softly as though breathing. The air smelled of memory and rain, of what the earth once offered freely. Avelyn dropped to her knees, touching the moss beneath her fingers like it might disappear. "You do not belong here." The voice was smooth, deep, and laced with warning. Avelyn spun. He stood a few feet away, a tall man clad in living armour of bark and stone, a cascade of black hair framing eyes that glowed like molten silver. He looked untouched by time, yet carved by sorrow. "I'm looking for someone," she said, heart hammering. "Many come here looking," he replied. "Few find answers. Her name is Lyra. She came here years ago. She left this journal." The man didn't flinch, but something flickered behind his eyes. Lyra crossed the veil. She chose to stay. "She's alive? She became part of this place. You will not find her as she was." Avelyn stepped forward. "Then I'll find her as she is." He watched her for a long moment before turning. "Follow me." He led her through living paths. Trees moved subtly aside for him, and strange creatures shimmered between branches. The garden reacted to him. Kyle, he said his name was. The last guardian, cursed to watch over what remained. The garden, he explained, had once been a bridge between Earth and its essence, a sacred biome, a sanctuary. But humanity's greed had poisoned the bonds. When the final wars tore through the soil, the veil sealed itself. Only those who carried true loss could find the way. Kyle had failed to protect it. For his failure, he had been bound. They passed lakes that reflected stars not of this world, fields of luminescent windflowers, vines that sang. They spoke little, but with every hour the garden pulsed dimmer. "It's dying," she whispered. "It's fading. The balance is nearly gone." "How do we save it?" Kyle didn't answer. That night, beneath a canopy of sapphire leaves, Avelyn dreamed of Lyra. She saw her sister smile, her hands tending roots, but her eyes were strange, glinting like the garden. The next morning, Kyle brought her to the heart of the sanctuary. A tree stood at the center, a colossus with bark like crystal and branches that reached the clouds. Roots snaked across the earth like veins. In its hollow glowed an orb of pure memory. Lyra's voice echoed from it. "Avelyn, you made it." Her image swirled into view, not as flesh, but as light, embedded in the tree's core. "What is this?" Avelyn choked. Kyle placed a hand over the bark. "She gave herself to sustain this place. She is part of the root now." "Can she come back?" He shook his head. "Not without breaking the garden." Avelyn touched the crystal. "Lyra? Why?" Lyra's image smiled sadly. to heal something greater, to give back. You can still leave, but if you stay, the garden will endure. One must remain bonded. The choice is yours. Kyle stepped away. I've been its guardian for centuries, but I am fading. The garden needs someone who still believes, someone who remembers Earth. Tears traced Avelyn's cheeks. She thought of ash, silence and sterile skies. She thought of Lyra's laughter, of green things. She stepped into the root. Pain lanced through her chest. Her memories poured into the earth. Her first flower, her mother's garden, Lyra's songs. The garden drank them, bloomed. Trees straightened, colours brightened. The wind returned. Kyle exhaled. It is done. He knelt beside her form, now sleeping within the roots, her body fading into light. Above, the veil shimmered anew. Somewhere beyond, rain fell upon withering soil, and a single green shoot pushed through, hope reborn.